Today on Talk Fulton, a look at how the 2017 legislative session will impact Fulton County. Are there new laws that will change how the county handles its business? We'll find out. And now that voters have chosen their elected leaders for the new city of South Fulton, what services will be transitioned from the county? We'll take a look. I'm Shania Chavis-Rucker, and Talk Fulton starts right now. Welcome to Talk Fulton, everyone. Today we are talking about the 2017 General Assembly session and the impact of any new legislation on Fulton County. As in years past, Fulton commissioners laid out their legislative priorities hoping for passage. And in years past, board members and county officials met with members of the Fulton delegation during the session. Take a look.
We see this as an opportunity to brief you on things that we're doing in general, but also
in a small room inside the state capitol, the Fulton Senate delegation heard firsthand from county leaders about projects and progress in Fulton County. It was a chance for both parties to update each other.
Good meeting, good dialogue with our Fulton Senate delegation. We gave a briefing on the good things that are happening with the county, thanking the senators for being great partners in terms of legislation in support of our county. We discussed some of the task forces that are in place to protect some of the most vulnerable people in our communities.
Along with hearing from Chairman Eves and Chief Operating Officer Todd Long, who provided an update on the City of South Fulton transition, County Manager Dick Anderson spoke on various topics, such as this year's strategic initiatives, health and wellness progress, and exciting news about a $1 billion investment in public infrastructure over the next few years.
300 million of that or so is in water infrastructure, which is very much needed for capacity reasons. And then we're investing 100 million in library renovations, 24 or so locations beyond the 8 major ones that we did last year, and then another 100 million in our facilities.
With so much happening, some on the delegation praised the job county leaders have done for residents.
I can say without reservation that Fulton is doing an extraordinary job, and I think making some great enhancements just in the last couple of years.
Reporting for FGTV, I'm Felicia Church.
Thank you very much, Felicia. Fran Calhoun is Fulton's Intergovernmental and Interagency Affairs Division Manager. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Shania.
So, all right, it was another year. Tell us, how would you describe this year's session at the Capitol?
I think there are two words that best describe this year's session: pragmatic efficiency. First, the General Assembly was very pragmatic in passing smaller bills. We didn't see the huge omnibus bills this year. And then secondly, they were efficient. They started out the session lowering the number of minutes that members could take for ceremonial speeches in the morning. A compromise was hatched, and they at least did that after crossover day. And speaking of crossover day, they did move crossover day up from day 30 to day 28, thereby providing more time on the end of the session for more thoughtful consideration of bills. And thirdly, they passed this year's state budget, a $25 billion budget, in record time. And so the governor even acknowledged them and applauded them for that effort. So I think those are the best two words that I would use to describe this year's session.
So pragmatic, it sounds like, indeed. So approximately how many bills did the legislature pass this year?
Well, of the approximate 950 that were introduced, you had roughly 3.5 passed in each chamber, but then together they passed about 283 that they sent to the governor's desk. I understand about 20 of those bills have been signed thus far, and of course the governor has 40 days in which to consider vetoing legislation he deems not in the best interest of the state in its current written form.
And Fran, what about Fulton's legislative priorities? Were any of them passed?
Yes, ma'am. We had two major bills passed this year. House Bill 70 is the hospital provider fee. It was scheduled to sunset this year, and so with the help of the governor's leaders, this bill was passed very early in the session. It provides $311 million to hospitals in Georgia that supply Medicaid services. It also allows the state to draw down $600 million from the federal government to administer Medicaid. For Grady Hospital, that would mean about $10 million a year. And then the second bill is also another big public safety, health and wellness bill, that's Senate Bill 222. After 3 years of working with telecom providers, the cable industry, the cities, and the Georgia Municipal Association, the Association for County Commissioners of Georgia led the way in shaping a bill that will provide parity for all telecommunication services. So the fee that you normally see, that's $75 on your bill, it will now be $1.50, but that fee will allow all of our 911 emergency communication centers to be adequately funded. This also creates a 16-member authority that will then coordinate activities with the telecom industry, including the oversight of those industries and also the auditing of the fees that are collected. And the thing that is really most important in these two-way communications, of course, we live in a digital age. It will allow next generation technology to be brought online, which will then allow us to text, to provide video, as well as images of scenes so that emergency providers can be better prepared for what they will find when they get to a scene. And on the other end, it will allow us to readily triangulate and identify where persons are. We know that the days of the copper wire into our homes are over. Most of us are using VoIP systems, and so this is really bringing us online and modernizing the system in the state.
And Fran, we understand there were local bills passed that will change some things around the county. Talk to us about those.
That's right, Shania. We have House Bills 132 and 131 by Representative Roger Bruce, and those bills actually affect the southern end of the county. One of the bills extends the boundaries of our new city of South Fulton that was voted on last year, and the second actually will lift the restrictions around the Fulton Industrial Boulevard. And so it is anticipated that the voters will vote up the removal of those restrictions, and that then by legislation that property around Fulton Industrial will be annexed into the new city of South Fulton.
And there's been a lot of conversation about that whole FIB corridor,
indeed,
so
indeed.
It'll be interesting to see. Fran, let's take a break. When we come back, how transportation issues played a role in the 2017 session. Stay with us, everybody. Welcome back, everybody. We've been talking about the 2017 General Assembly session and how the legislation passed will impact Fulton County. Fran Calhoun is the Intergovernmental and Interagency Affairs Division. Fran, let's finish our conversation. You know, transportation has been an important focus, not even long before the bridge incident for Fulton County government in the past several years. What about transportation? Were there some meaningful bills passed this year in that area?
Well, even with the bridge collapsing on the last day of the session, transportation was a mixed bag, Shania. We were not able to get the two bills that had been proposed to create a commission to further study transportation build out in the state. Those bills were held, they're tabled, and we look forward to the General Assembly taking them up next year. But what did pass was very positive, and that was House Bill 134. This bill is called the Single County T-SPLOST bill, and of course we're very familiar with T-SPLOST issues having passed the same last year. This bill will allow all other 158 counties to do what Fulton County did last year to build up their infrastructure.
And if I'm a betting woman, I'm betting that next year transportation will certainly be another major conversation.
That's right.
After we've seen all of the infrastructure issues. Okay, so Fulton County is the economic engine in the state of Georgia. Were there bills passed that will further our economic development goals?
There were some bills that will certainly impact Fulton County. One of the ones, in addition to some reinvestment tax credits under the Department of Community Affairs, one of the ones that I'd really like to highlight is a building block enabling bill, and that's Senate Bill 117. This bill was dealing with the Georgia Technology Authority, and the focus of it was to allow the state to purchase cybersecurity insurance, something that we know is very important in the era of hacking both private and government industries. And so one of the things this will also do is create investments in our state to help support the private industry build out. Fulton County is heavily impacted by this. We know that Transaction Alley in Alpharetta, Georgia, of course, one of our Fulton County cities, is the lead in the nation for processing credit cards. In fact, about 70% of all credit card transactions occur right here in the state of Georgia, and the majority of those in Transaction Alley.
And I'm sure credit card users will be extremely happy to hear that, as we are all concerned about the security and our identity. So let's talk about some new tax laws. How will Georgians be impacted by any new tax laws?
Indeed, while the General Assembly decided to pass on legislation affecting personal income taxes, they did pass about $483 million worth of credits that will affect the state over a 5-year period. There are about 10 separate tax bills that include credits to the film production industry and video game industry. There is a lease car credit there that you can take. Actually, you will not have to pay the sales tax levels that you previously had to pay since 2012.
Oh, that's good news.
Indeed, good news. And we see, of course, the yacht industry is coming to Georgia. So persons who have yachts who'd like to get them repaired in the state of Georgia can have a sales tax credit for those repairs totaling $500,000 and above. This is an attempt to bring a new industry and to compete with both the state of Florida and Virginia.
I was sitting here thinking, okay, what would be the point of that? But there you have it. That's right, to bring that
economic development,
there you go.
Competition.
So, yes. So we recall that legislation was introduced to address carjackings around the metro area. Where are we with that?
Well, House Bill 67 by one of our new members, William Bodie, was one of our Lazarus bills for the session. It died in committee after receiving a great deal of support early on, but was then placed into another bill by Senator Donzella James, and so it is now housed in Senate Bill 104. And this legislation creates a first offender status and sentencing level that would allow judges to sentence persons from 10 to 20 years and fine them $10,000 to $100,000 for carjackings committed with a firearm or weapon. And so Fulton County is getting very serious about these types of crimes.
Well, teamwork makes the dream work when you're trying to do work at the Capitol. So finally, Fran, what do we expect to see next year in the second half of the 2017-2018 legislative term?
Well, indeed, as you mentioned earlier, I do believe that we will certainly see more transportation focus. We will also see casinos coming back to the legislature. Those deliberations will continue as both rural and urban Georgia look to see how that industry can benefit those particular communities. And then I believe we will continue to see more on the technology front as we begin to shore up our infrastructure here in the state. So we look forward to a robust session next year.
Well, you are quite impressive. I could not remember SB, HB numbers or anything, so it's just amazing that you have kept up with all of that. Fran Calhoun, Intergovernmental and Interagency Affairs Division Manager. Great information. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And when we come back, an update on the City of South Fulton transition. Stay with us. On April 18th, voters decided who would lead Fulton County's newest city, the City of South Fulton. Fulton's executive team continues to work with the new city on transitioning the services that will now become municipal services. For instance, the police department, the fire and rescue department, planning and zoning, all are services for the new city. Now, according to the county's chief operating officer, the city has already started its hiring process. Now, Fulton County has a page dedicated to the transition process on its website. You can follow the entire process by logging on to that page. Well, that does it for this edition of Talk Fulton. Special thanks to our guest and a special thanks to you for watching. We invite you to email us to let us know what topics you'd like to see addressed right here on Talk Fulton. Email us at fgtv.feedback@fultoncountyga.gov. I'm Shania Chavis Rucker. We will see you next time.